In this lesson, we'll add a little bit of shape to the lab coat. Alright, so we've got the arm attached here, and now we need to go ahead and start to create the shape for this. Now the first thing I want to do is kind of pull apart the front of this lab coat, because we want to have the gap here where this is going to be attached. So go ahead and just grab all these edges all the way down. Okay, and I'm just going to pull this apart. Okay, and again we're going to build this one side and then mirror it over. So now when we mirror this, it'll attach in the back, but we'll have this gap up here at the front since we're moving this out. Let's go ahead and grab some of these points up here. Now these points we want to kind of curve down to create the lapel. So here you can kind of see it's off a little bit because we're going to add this sort of detail where it's kind of buttoned in the wrong buttonhole. So it's kind of skewed up a little bit, but the idea is that we want to have this kind of curve coming down. So we can grab some of these points and just start to create that, and the big one will be this corner point, which we can just kind of bring down and in, and just start to move some of these points around so that we get kind of this smooth curve for the lapel. Okay, we'll just kind of move that in and just maybe move that in a little bit so you start to get this kind of nice curve there. And I'll just move some of these points. Okay, if you want to, if it looks like this is a little bit too far out from the neck, you could go ahead and take some of these and move them in, although we are going to add some thickness to the jacket, to the lab coat, so that'll take care of a lot of that. Want to have a little bit of space there. But you can bring that down a little if you want. Make sure that we've got the seam area set up for the shoulder, and just kind of let's move this down and back a little bit so it's not, give it a little bit more evenly spaced around the shoulder there, and just kind of make a nice smooth curve for that, something like that. Okay, and just shape this a little bit more. And now we need to create the length of the coat. So right now it's very short. So I'm going to go ahead and just take these edges all the way at the bottom. Go ahead, hold down Control, and hit our loop arrows. In this case, I'm hitting the down arrow to go in that direction. And now go ahead and create the length of this. So we can take a look at this as a guide up here in the front view. Now keep in mind that this side eventually is going to be kind of pulled up, so we want to try to match kind of this side. So let's just go ahead and hold down Shift and pull this down. I'm just going to pull it all the way down to the bottom. Okay, and then we can start to kind of match this up. So we'll scale it out a bit, flare it out at the bottom, and it'll pull it back in this direction. Now we can start to move some of these points around just a little bit. So maybe we want it to come down like this to match up with our drawing there, and maybe down in the back as well. It doesn't have to match up perfectly, but we want to get definitely the length correct. And let's go ahead and pull this out from the side, from the front rather. Create a nice flare there. Okay. And just pull some of these points out as this kind of flares out. And now we can add some extra resolution in there to be able to move around. So go ahead and select these edges. And let's do connect. And let's add a few. So let's maybe do at least 3. And then we can slide these up and down. Let's do one more. Okay, we can slide these around and put them right where we want to. And then we can come in and really do some shaping on this. So we'll go into this to the side view here and just kind of shape this out from the side. Okay, just kind of move these in. You really want to kind of match up what we've got going here. And then kind of bring this out in the back a little bit more. And you can see the body geometry underneath there. Okay. Now one other thing that we might want to do is that we want to have a kind of a split pleat here in the back, which you can kind of see the split. And so we want to, when we mirror this, to have that geometry not connect up. So we can go ahead, and in this case, I'm going to go ahead and replace this background image with the back image. So I'm going to go to Viewport Background, and let's go ahead and replace this with our back image for now. Say OK, and this will show us where that's going to begin. So if we take a look at this, it's going to be right at that point. So in this case, I'm going to take these points right here and just kind of move those over. So we get the same thing that we got with the moving those points at the front, in that these aren't going to be when we mirror this, these aren't going to be connected, so we'll get a nice gap there for our split. Okay, and then this one's off a little bit, so that's good. So that's going to be the length of our split right there. Okay, so we've got the length, we've got the kind of the split built in there. Okay, you can tweak some of these, maybe tweak this so it's not quite so close to the shirt there. Okay, and we can go ahead and from the front tweak this as well, so move some of these points out. So again, we're just kind of shaping. This is actually from the back, so we'll go back to the front. Now that we've got that split in there, go ahead and change that up. And just kind of move some of these points out until you get something like that. Again, doesn't have to match up perfectly because this is fabric, so you want it to have kind of a natural look. Alright. Now if you want to, you might want to add a little bit of extra resolution in here, but we can do that as we move along. In the next lesson, I think what we want to do is go ahead and work on the shoulder. So we want to add a nice seam to the shoulder and also maybe add a little bit of resolution up in here. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that in the next lesson.